Can I get a thumbs up from Zoom? Any folks?
All right.
All right. Is there an echo? Yes. I wanted some. All right. Is there? No. OC, who I see, is there an echo for you guys on Zoom?
Yeah, there's a terrible echo. This is Liz.
Sorry, folks, give me a second. Let's see. No. That's test. All right, let's see. Is that better, folks? Liz, can you hear me? OC, is that better? A little louder? All right, we figured it out. I am so sorry about the delay tonight, folks. Luckily, we have a short agenda, so we can get this show rolling. We will likely start without having our quorum. We're still calculating. For folks in the room, we are in a smaller room today compared to last time. So just be mindful, we are being recorded. We're live on YouTube. The microphones are hot. So just be aware. All right, so time is 6:44. We're gonna get started, not formally to order, but almost there. Welcome to our October 2023 meeting. My name is Catherine Diaz and I'm the board chair for folks who are new in the room. Joined up here front by our first vice chair, Darryl Cochran. Second vice chair, Darryl Cochran. And assistant secretary, Jumina Alcover Ramirez. For folks who are interested in joining the public session tonight, please use the chat in order to, if you want to sign up for that. We are also joined by a few of our board members on Zoom who are joining from private locations due to extraordinary circumstances or are exempt from in-person tonight. Okay. So I'm assuming everyone has their, oh, this is gonna be tough. I'm down the screen, so I couldn't share. Can you hit the screen share? Thank you. Before we kind of get started with our motion, we're just gonna go through quickly our quick norms, especially if this is your first time. So this is our general meeting where we usually just vote on our big business. We get to hear from our elected representatives and from members of the public. And so this is the space where matters that were discussed throughout the month is where we vote on them, right? If there is a formal vote. And of course, you can always go to our website if you want to get into nitty-gritty conversations around some of the topics. All of our committees are listed online. So tonight, in terms of our general meeting, right, I'm the chair. So the way we work is by parliamentary procedure. So we recognize folks to speak. For this meeting, members of the public are able to, or are only able to speak, excuse me, during the public session. So if you'd like to speak during the public session, now is the time to sign up either in person or in the chat. We don't engage, and this is kind of odd, right, compared to a regular meeting or in other spaces you're in a back and forth or in like a full discussion, right? We kind of just go down the list of everybody who needs to speak, unless there is, you know, an extraordinary circumstance. So that's why we don't necessarily do the back and forth. And then of course, please use the chat only for technical difficulties or the sign up, of course. Based on our rules, if there are matters of topic, those need to be discussed verbally and for the record of the meeting. And lastly, of course, not least, let's keep our comments, you know, related to the agenda, to the item at hand, and 2 minutes. Michelle, where's Michelle? Michelle, we will see her soon. She is carrying the lava mic. So for folks on Zoom and in person, just a little patience since we got to get the mic rolling around. And she'll also be taking time. Cool, next slide. All right, so that is the public session. We close at 7 p.m. if you're gonna sign up. All right, next slide, please. All right, so this is tonight's agenda. We have 12 items before us for consideration. Is there do I have form actually to adopt? One second, folks. 2, 4, 6, 9, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 people who walked in, 19, 20, 21, 22, not quite. So we're not going to adopt our agenda just yet. So we're going to dive into the chair's report, and then once I have an alert of quorum, we'll get there. All right, so you can keep going. Thanks, Jim. All right, so for the chair report, super brief this month, we were really lucky to be able to, in part of our discussion in bringing young people to participate on youth and education as public members, we got invited to speak to parents at George Washington High School for Law and Public Service. And I think actually it's the first time that we're kind of like doing these soft conversations about like what is a community board. What should we care about our local community board? And let me tell you, compared to when I was in high school, that was a jam-packed like PTA meeting, particularly for high school, right? Where there was like 30+ parents in the room. And apparently there's more competition in the building where there's like 100+ parents who go to their PTA. So it was really exciting to hear, and something that we're gonna continue to rotate throughout all of the different schools. And parents, of course, were very excited to share some of the issues that they're seeing in the community, many of which we hear all the time, and what those outlets and how to navigate those resources in their local district, whether they live in the Heights or if they live in the Bronx, as many people do. And then also I forgot to share, I know some folks at the exec last week got to see it, but I heard it around here, like this is like our soft launch, if you will. For our new branding. So you'll see more and more communication. So CB12 has more exciting colors and new logos and a brand manifesto. And part of it is being able to kind of bridge that disconnect between community and community boards. You know, a lot of our brandings, not just CB12, but across the city, tends to be very disconnected and not necessarily aesthetic to the eye or able to engage. And so being part of this is going to be able to allow us to build a bigger digital footprint, as well as being able to properly announce at what are the Link NYCs or take advantage, for example, the United Palaces digital screens and other folks who have access to promote our meetings there. So, this will be, you'll see more of it coming, definitely share some feedback and board members will get more goodies in the coming months. So that'll be good. All right, and then I'm gonna pass it with that real quick. If there's any questions to our DM who got lots of reports for us today. All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Always is a pleasure being here as your district manager and give you my report. The first item that I have on the agenda is the sidewalk shed on the corner of Broadway and West 168th Street, the southwest corner. For many years, I have received complaints from the public, from the hospital, and from members of the boards that this sheer scaffold is being there obstructing the entrance to the subway, the view, etc., especially at nighttime during the winter is very dark. I have been following up this issue through the district service cabinet meeting, and I asked the Department of Buildings to follow up in this matter, and also with the Department of Health, who owns the building where this scaffold is being there. So upon my steering up of this issue, we learned that the scaffolding need to stay there. The scaffolding was removed for a few days because the Department of Building discovered that this scaffold was there for more than 5 years, and the scaffolding need to be updated and removed every 5 years. So what happened in a few weeks, I don't know if you were able to see it, a few days without the scaffolding there. I was so happy thinking that was removed forever, but it's not happened. That was not the case. The scaffold came back, a new one, and now they have a new model. It's not all the way close to the top. They have like a little windows at the top of the what we call the facade, the parapet wall of the scaffolding. So the project is still in the design phase. This is the repair of the facade of the building that is owned by the Department of Health. They said that in the spring next year, the design should be completed, and it's supposed to be the construction started next year as well. We are following up on this matter as well. Abandoned vehicles in the district. You may notice, and you remember last month that I mentioned that there is a lot of complaints regarding abandoned vehicles in the district, all over, in Inwood, in Washington Heights. And I have been following up this matter through the district service cabinet meeting. And the ambassador for the NYPD, Mr. Richard Guevara, is willing to work with us to remove those vehicles. It's a lengthy process because those vehicles need to be marked abandoned and need to give some type of notice. And he's willing to work with us and also with the Department of Sanitation. What I want from you is that you please report to us, report to me, any abandoned vehicle that you see that doesn't move, that is there for weeks in the same location, doesn't move for cleaning, doesn't move for anything, is getting dust. Please report to the office, please report to me so we can gather a list. And when we start tagging this matter, maybe next month or something between November and January, we should be working with this matter. So we're working with that. We've received a lot of complaints regarding some plastic drums or barrels being placed around the Margaret Corbin Plaza in front of Fort Tryon Park. One day, I think it was a Monday, last Monday, we received complaints that there is a lot of barrels have been placed there. And when we called Parks Department, I asked what happened, what is those barrels being placed there? They told us that we don't know, that they didn't know about it. And the following investigation said that the residents from that area, they placed those barrels there because they are sick and tired that some drunk drivers or crazy drivers in the middle of the night are doing or were doing donuts there. It's very disturbing that the resident have to take this matter into this hand and make the complaints to the agencies. How come? It's almost unbelievable that these big barrels being placed there by residents. So something very organized happened in that area. We are working with the Department of Transportation that they're planning to do some traffic calming in that area to avoid these donuts being done there. A racial graffiti has been placed in city parks, Washington, High Bridge Park, and also Jumel mentioned a graffiti that is called 777 is considered a racial one, white supremacy, and has been reported by board members and also by residents We are working with Parks Department to remove those graffiti immediately from the location, and the police department is looking to find out who is the person doing it. And the double murder that happened in High Bridge Park by the Edgecombe Avenue, the police report that they have a person of interest, but they haven't made any arrest yet. So now I need to make some staff update. You know that Paola Garcia is out from our office. She's out on a medical leave. She has a knee surgery. And I spoke with her this afternoon, and she's doing well. She's recuperating well. The surgery was a success. It was very successful, and she's recovering very well. Hopefully that she can get back on time as is planning. Also, you know that Chanel Paniagua is leaving the office by Friday, this coming Friday, and we have a job posting that is around. If you know any person that is interested in work with us in the part-time, please let them know to come on. Chanel, can you please come over here for a second? So Chanel, thank you very much for the years that you give to the community board. In 2019, we were looking, to fill the position that it was vacant, that Ellie left, and we interview a lot of people, and people, this, that. When we saw Chanel, everybody agreed this is the one. Thank you for your service for all these years, 3 years or 4 years, giving you all the self. You learn a lot. So when you came a few months later, the pandemic came, like 6 months later, and you were the right person to make the move from in-person meeting to digital meeting, because you were able to understand the thing very quickly, and you put us in the map and doing everything that needs to be done. So on behalf of the Community Board 12, on behalf of your colleague Paola Garcia and myself, I want to say thank you for your help all this year, and I wish you all the best in the future that you're going to be doing. Thank you very much. God bless you. God bless you. This is the end of my report. Is there any question? Mr. Benjamin. Okay.
So Ebenezer, the 777 graffiti that you mentioned, it was not just in parks, it's also on the streets of 158 and Wood Morgan, and also Broadway around 133rd with the CB9. So my question is NYPD looking more broadly than just in the parks, and is CB12 speaking with CB9 to see what their experiences are?
Okay, I didn't know about Broadway. I know there was already mentioned and in that area. I'm gonna coordinate with your request to Community Board 9 to see if they are experimenting the same, and also with the police to continue following up this matter. This is not acceptable that we have this kind of graffiti in the area. Is there any other question? Okay. Okay, I don't see any other questions, so thank you very much. God bless you all.
Actually, can you stop the screen share? Sorry, folks. Also there is, and we'll just show you to now, we got a card going around for you. Some folks definitely want to say it, but there's a lot of us, so you'll get it on Thursday when we see you. And I completely forgot to mention 2 things. I'm so sorry for that. One is that our nominating committee, as per our bylaws, has been formed. So I just want to, some folks are in the room, I just want to recognize them, shout it out. I'm super excited about this year's committee. So the chair for our nominating committee is going to be Leo Vasquez. If you could just, say wave. Leo, we have Anthony Viola. We got Carmen Paulino. We have Danny Bonilla up front, and who am I missing? What did I forget? Mancita, yes, because I don't see him. Mancita as well. So we have 5 folks signed up. So next month you'll be hearing from our nominating committee, and stay on the lookout for emails from them. The second thing that I forgot to mention is that this month at the Borough Board, we voted on supporting the right to counsel right to counsel. I mentioned this quickly at the exec. It was right before the vote happened. So there was a borough-wide vote, around being able to, support funding and, expansion, excuse me, for the right to counsel to make sure that all tenants right now, have representatives right now. As a lot of us may know, housing court is advancing really quickly and folks don't have the opportunity, to be able to fight their cases. And so there was a borough-wide vote on that and, of course, voted in the affirmative. All right, so with that said, we're gonna dive right into our elected portion. We're gonna start with folks who are on Zoom. You give me real quick. I saw Noah and here we go. Boy, if you're ready to speak. Okay, let me see. Can you try again, Noah?
There we go. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. So I'm here representing the Office of the Public Advocate, and I just have a few things to mention to the community. So in terms of legislative updates, the City Council recently passed our office's legislation that requires dyslexia screenings for people incarcerated in city jails. And this measure will help to expand educational and health services, as well as improve programming inside city jails and reduce recidivism upon release. So now our office and the public advocate, Jumaane Williams, he's passed 21 bills since taking office, with many more working their way through the legislative process. And I also want to mention that our office's worst landlord watch list will be released before the end of the year. So if anyone has violations in their building that they'd like to report, remember to please report them to HPD, the Department of Housing and Preservation, by calling 311. Regarding upcoming events for our office, you can follow our Eventbrite page. That's at nycpublicadvocate.eventbrite.com. There's also a news segment on News 12 called Ask the Advocate, so you can tune into News 12 Bronx, Brooklyn, or online to watch that monthly segment. It takes place live every third Monday of the month from 7 to 7:30 p.m. And the public advocate answers questions from callers live on air. The most recent segment was last week, October 16th, but there will be one next month. And then just to stay in touch with our office, you can always reach out to our office by contacting us via email at gethelp@advocate.nyc.gov, or by calling our office's live hotline at 212-669-7250 and leaving a message. And we are also receiving constituents with an appointment in our office in person. And other ways to stay in touch, you can sign up for our bi-monthly newsletter. There is a text bot that we have you can subscribe to by texting hello to a certain number, and you can also check out our office's blog on our website. But I will put all of that information in the chat on Zoom for the community. And yeah, that wraps it up for me. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you, Noah. Next up, we have Oliver Betances from Councilmember Sean Abreu's office.
Yes, good evening. Can you hear me, guys?
Yes.
Can you hear me well? Awesome.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you, and good afternoon, all. So I'll get started off with participatory budgeting. And so the Councilmember Abreu is thrilled to be taking part in the 13th cycle of the participatory budgeting, where the community decides how to spend $1 million for physical projects in and around the district. Our office will be tabling throughout Upper Manhattan in the coming weeks to hear your ideas, and we're so excited to see what projects you come up with. You can send me your ideas online at ideas.pbnyc.org, where you can see the online idea map. And so here are some dates to keep in mind. We have 2 upcoming virtual info sessions for people to learn more about the PB process. And the first is this Thursday, October 26th at 6:30 p.m. And the second is on November 2nd at 6:30 p.m. And so I will be dropping the registration links in the chat, and I'll be happy to send them off after tonight's meeting. We are also looking for delegates who get to decide which idea submissions make it on the ballot for the community to vote on during the voting week, which will take place from April 6th to April 14th. If you would like to volunteer to be a budget delegate, please email us at district7@council.nyc.gov. And the deadline to sign up for that to be a delegate is November 16th. Moving on to the most recent legislation under the council member's belt, and that'll be reusables. And so there was a hearing, excuse me, recently, and it was introduced through legislation that targets one of the biggest producers of single-use plastic waste, and that'll be sports stadiums. And so this bill would allow patrons to bring their own reusable bottles to all sports venues across the city. And so today, the council member's bill received a hearing in the Committee on Sanitation. Moving on to the Lily Brown Playground. We are pleased to report that the Lily Brown Playground, was reopened last Friday after a break in the sewer line that was repaired. And so folks can now access that freely as they please. And so before I hand it back to the chair, I want to let you all know that our district office will now be open on Tuesdays and Thursdays until 6 p.m. Thank you guys and have a great night.
All right, thanks, Oliver. Next up, we have Edgar. Yeah, we have Edgar from Senator Jackson's office.
Hi, good evening to everybody here at CB12. As far as the senator's office, we've been doing a lot of constituent services, especially around housing. Today, we actually had a tenants' rights clinic at the CUNY in the Heights, at that site at 5030 Broadway with Met Council. We're gonna have a few more in November 14th, the 28th, and December 12th. And we're gonna be having all sorts of legal advice for any type of situations that people may be facing regarding the, housing and the landlords. We also held another addition to Senator on the Corner earlier this weekend. Another major thing, we know that people call us about capital allocations. We have been distributing information as to how to make that request, whether it's a local organization, a small business, anything of that nature. You can hit us up at jackson@nysenate.gov or call our offices. I'll leave the information on the in the chat. Also, there is a SUNY free. We're in the middle at the tail end of the SUNY free applications week. If you go to suny.edu/apply, people can apply for SUNY schools for free with no application fees. We will certainly be having more events and more resources, for our constituents. And once again, just feel free to contact us, and we're here to help and serve. Have a good night.
All right, thanks, Edgar, right on time. I think I got one more. Jocelyn, you're speaking tonight, right? Yeah, she's here though. Oh, no, she put her hand down, Mario. Oh, Christopher's here too. All right, so I'll pass it to Jocelyn and then Christopher before we do it in person.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, everyone. Jocelyn Minaya, the Director of the Manhattan District Attorney's Washington Heights office. I hope everyone's having a wonderful evening. I just have a few announcements as well as we conclude October, which I hope community knows is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We've had, quite a lot of events surrounding domestic violence awareness, including a wonderful event that we held last Thursday called Shine the Light, in partnership with the Washington Heights Inward Coalition Against Domestic and Interpersonal Violence. And it was a wonderful event. I thank all those who were able to make it. I know we had some representation from CB12. I know I saw Jamila and a couple of other folks. So thank you to CB12 for helping us get the word out on that and for always supporting our efforts. As you know, DV is a year-round thing. It's not just October, but we do take the opportunity to join our community partners to highlight as everyone else does. And then keeping in light with that, the DA would like to announce that he just today announced a Special Victims Division Advisory Council, which I'm super thrilled about, and is really to gain perspective from community and external stakeholders on our office's practice. So what we look to do with the Advisory Council is to meet quarterly with them and have them provide advice and input on topics related to the work of the Special Victims Division and other areas of the DA's office. We want to hear from, the people that are doing the grassroots work in special victims, and see, what we need to improve, what we could be doing better, and what is working, and just solicit ideas. So there's currently 16 member organizations that comprise the council, and I look forward to continuing to report back to the community on the progress that we're making with them. And then finally, I know last month I spoke about the neighborhood navigators and the $9 million in grants that the DA's office put out through our criminal justice investment initiative. And recently we just announced the last part of that, which is the grant that was awarded to the Fortune Society, and they're going to be handling the criminal court navigators. And basically, much like the neighborhood navigators that are going to be out on the street, connecting with people, the criminal court navigators are also a peer-based group from the Fortune Society that will be in criminal court, basically connecting with people as soon as they're arraigned and making sure that, they're connected to services while they're walking out of court. The idea is, we stop recidivism at its core, which is right there in criminal court, and make sure that people get the services that they really desperately need in order to, not be back in the system again. So, I said it before and I'll say it again, there's a lot of people out there with great need that do commit low-level crimes because they may have mental health issues, substance abuse issues, whatever the need may be. If we don't address those core issues, it's going to continue to be a revolving door. And we really, really would like to see the police and law enforcement really concentrate on the violent drivers of crime while we address the core issues of community needs. So I also look forward to bringing them to the community board, them and the bridge, Fortune and the bridge, to come and speak to the community board and expand on what they're doing. And hopefully they'll have a few success stories that we can share in the near future. And that's all that I have. I thank you for giving me the time to speak. And I don't know if anyone has any questions, Madam Chair.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Marielle has a question for you.
Thank you, Catherine, and thank you, Jocelyn. Yes, we actually for the Housing and Human Services Committee, we had the pleasure of having Rocio present from the bridge and kind of share a little bit more about the Navigator program with us. And I do understand, from that presentation that they are hiring 3 navigators. And so actually, I'll make sure that the flyer goes out to the community board staff so that can be shared wider with the community because, as I said, and understandably so, and rightfully so, the navigators should be people from the community. And so just wanted to kind of thank the district attorney for the initiative. It sounds like a really great program and certainly something that we want to see expanded in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Marielle. And I'm happy that you connected with Rocio. I know that Catherine and I also met with the bridge here in my office. So, we're excited. The idea is wonderful and I'm rooting for them and really looking for a lot of success to those in our community that desperately need the assistance. So thank you for that.
All right, thanks, Jocelyn. Next up, we're gonna have to hear from Christopher from Assemblymember Manny de los Santos' office.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So my name is Christopher Espinoza. I'm the Director of Community Affairs for Assemblyman Manny de los Santos. The Assemblyman has joined a number of events, one being the Shine the Light Walk in recognition of Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Our district office, which is located at 210 Sherman Avenue, continues being a resource hub for our constituents and our Uptown residents. We continue seeing an average of 55 to 65 constituents per day in person in our office, and our doors are always open. We also extended 1 day a week where our office stays open until 6:30 p.m. This allows for residents to have access to our constituent services. And if you have any questions, please reach out to us. We have a couple of events that are coming up. This Friday, October 27th, we have a free flu vaccine clinic that we are hosting in partnership with New York Presbyterian Hospital and the Dyckman Tenants Association. This is taking place at Dyckman Community Center, which is located at 3782 10th Avenue. And once again, this is taking place this Friday, October 27th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. While we do encourage folks to call our office to register, we are accepting walk-ins throughout the day. Please come out, take advantage of this resource. Flu season is upon us, and please make sure to utilize this resource. We also have another major event that we are doing for Halloween. This is our second annual Pumpkins on Sherman event. It's going to be a fantastic event. It's a Black Party event that we are hosting on Sherman Avenue between West 204th Street and 207th Street. It's going to happen this Saturday, October 28th from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Please come on out. We're going to have a lot of activities for the children, candy, entertainment, music, and so much more. I would also like to report that the Assemblyman, since the last community board meeting, has introduced 4 bills, 2 of them being one that ensures that inmates with diagnosed mental health issues are not placed in solitary confinement, but are placed in appropriate housing units. Mental health is important. Another bill that he also introduced increases the amount of financial assistance for burial arrangements from $500 to $4,000. This is a resource for low-income New Yorkers, and that's a bill that the Assemblyman has introduced. Additionally, we will also continue to host resource events here in our district office and bringing resources and agencies into the district. We are looking forward to another partnership with HPD, where they bring out their mobile unit and answer questions related to housing and so forth for our constituents. We also will continue our partnership with the New York Legal Assistance Group, where we bring legal services to our district office. The next time they are going to be here will be November 9th. If you have any questions, once again, reach out to our office. Our office number is 212-544-2278. Thank you all so much.
Thanks, right on time, Chris. All right, I think we covered everybody on Zoom for this portion. We're gonna move to in person. So we have Jamila. Yeah, all right. Jamila, we have Mariela as well. So Jamila, if you can come on up, and then Michelle, so that the camera can grab you, and then Michelle will pass you a lot of mic. Yeah, and
Hi, I'm Camila from Carmen de la Rosa.
try not to hold it too much.
I get started. But thank you. In terms of legislative updates, Carmen de la Rosa seems to introduce H.O. 12.2, which is authorizing the Department of Statewide and Administrative Services to waive the civil service examination fee for the first applicants and students. And then on this all background stage, which was October 19th, they also were able to have schedule 11.12, which requires the DOT to report on any more vehicles for license plates that are unreadable due to having a fake license plate being covered, etc. And it's going to require the DOT to report this on their website and also submit it to the mayor and the city council speaker. In terms of our office, we're limited on 177 and we see 50 to 60 conditional per day. We're usually having cases of injury, food snacks, touching things. Most importantly, right now, snack fraud. So if you have anybody who's interested in that, please come to our office. We're doing housing application. We already have Liza for the housing plan until October 20th. What's on until October 13th. We had a HB road, we were able to send at least like 200 to 300 people to that site. I'm also with extreme injury, any supplemental cases as well. Like always doing building wide meetings, working with Legal Aid Society, Mahalo Services, and MX to make sure that the things are being organized. And then upcoming events, we have a housing town hall, starting November 29th from 6 to 8, the location is open. Tonight we were actually able to host a daycare roundup, a daycare provider roundup meeting with all the daycare providers with concerns of, the incident that happened in the Bronx due to the young baby that passed away. So many of the data providers reached out to the office to have a meeting regarding if any, enforcement or any type of, services to be provided for them, in terms of their licenses. We were able to look at the data currently, the council members of it, which is why she can be here, to bring, information to them. And then for PD, which is for budgeting, we're going to focus on school. So increase the engagement and water registration and, it's fast, so PD is gonna come to full, and then eventually we're gonna have a really wide meeting, which is set up in here. That's.
All right, thanks. There we go. All right, so next up, we're gonna have Mariel from Manhattan Borough President's Office. Mariel, actually, if you could come to the podium, Mike, because the lava, you know.
Yeah.
Check them. What? Yeah, yeah, we have 27. I know.
Okay, great. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much. My name is Maria de la Cruz. I'm here representing Borough President Mark Levine. I'll make it brief, just a few announcements, and I think this is a lot better than that over there, so it's a little less nerve-wracking. But one event that we're hosting will be at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. We're calling it Vet at the Met, which is an opportunity for veterans and their families to visit the Metropolitan Museum on the Wednesday. It's usually closed, but they're opening it up for the families. I believe Porfirio sent it out to the board, and we'll make sure to today. Porfirio sent it out to the board today, so we'll be sharing that online. And it's a great opportunity to see the Met Museum with not a big crowd, and their families can join as well. We are also rehosting the MBPO Leadership Training Series. So I know some of you all are familiar if you were here last year, but Community Board Leadership Training Series is back the week of November 13th to the 17th. It's an hour virtual long training that provides tools and instruction on best practices of how to manage meetings and engage everyday New Yorkers to learn about local government processes. So it's a good opportunity to refresh knowledge of the EEO policies, of the COIP, so the conflict of interest policies, and so much more. And I know last year I heard it was a lot of fun, so please join. And we are having an MBPO Day of Action. So our office will be hosting a Manhattan Day of Action, Saturday, November 4th, from 12 to 2 p.m., in which several community cleanups are going to happen around the borough. And we're going to be focusing on the waterfront this time around. If you folks are interested, you can check in at our resources guide in the MBPO website. So folks, please join us. We're going to be cleaning up some parks, and I heard it's going to be a great time. And lastly, just wanted to talk about briefly, I know Catherine already mentioned the right to counsel, so I'm not going to talk about that, but we held an awesome Hispanic Heritage event last week in which we brought people in the tech industry together, talking about barriers, but also ways that we can work together to provide access and opportunity for folks. So again, Maria de la Cruz, thank you very much for having me here today.
Liz.
Hi, Liz.
Hi, this is not a question for Marielle. This is a request for Jumirna to please stop the screen share so that we can see other things on Zoom.
We could change the view, and you can also do it on your end. So we'll try on our end first. There's another hand. Hold on. Yeah, give us a second because Richard got a question.
Yes.
Just a quick clarification. The November 1st event that you mentioned at the Met, I had initially heard of this veterans only.
It's for veterans and their families. No one's going to be checking, but veterans and their families. Okay. Any other questions? No. Well, that was easy and brief. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a good night.
Oh, wait. We have one more speaker. Sorry, you're good. Thank you, Maria. All right, we have last and certainly not least from Congress member Adriano Espaillat's office. I apologize. I was looking for your hat earlier.
Hi, good evening. We're gonna start from the back here because two of the items I want to bring to your attention are time sensitive. One is a request for proposals for a developer or developers for an extraordinary property, the Kingsbridge Armory. That is one of the largest armories, to the best of our knowledge, ever built worldwide, and is being activated as a source of jobs and resources for the community at large. So if anyone knows anyone that might be interested, please send them our way. The other time-sensitive issue is we're in the midst of what we call our Congressional High School App Challenge, meaning that for, if you know young people that are very techie and create apps, and they're between 7th and 12th grade years old, please let them submit an app. I don't even know what exactly that would mean, but what have you. And we will pass it along and they will be part of the competition. And it's a really wonderful way for young people to get their work acknowledged and popularized. On the next page, going backwards still, Gladys Ricart resolution. This is a resolution that Congressman Espaillat promoted to really focus on domestic abuse, and in this case, tragically, domestic lethal abuse. In addition, there is a letter of support to pledge to the Green Climate Fund. A group, Congressman Espaillat joins a group of his peers in presenting this letter to the president. And he also has introduced the Earned Benefits Equality and Family Reunification Act, a bill that's meant to serve as a pilot project. If you're a Medicare recipient, and as could very well have been the case recently, you're stuck overseas, the purpose of this bill is to allow your Medicare benefits to follow you where you happen to be. So it's timely and valuable. The Safe Return Act is meant to support Americans who are trapped abroad to secure their safety and not to obligate them to pay the federal government back and to provide them with the assistance to get home. That connects up with something on the first page, but we'll get there. Okay. Congressman Espaillat and Representative Bauman sent a letter to urge the Department of Homeland Security to prevent hundreds of thousands of immigrants from losing their work authorization. We know that work authorization is a profoundly critical topic at this time. We don't want to see the people who have fortunately received it already find themselves in threat of losing it. Okay. And to the front. The congressman wasted no time to acknowledge the massacre in Israel and organized with the help of Borough President Levine and others, a vigil in Bennett Park to honor the victims of Hamas terrorist action. In addition, he and the staff have worked night and day to bring back a group of 10 constituents from a particular church community that had gone over to Israel and couldn't get out. So we were pleased to have been able to connect them with their loved ones in the United States.
Luana, yeah, Luana has a question. Hi, thank you. I think what? No, you good, sir. Oh, I'm loud, so, okay. So the Milagros Card resolution is very timely. And I've urged the Congress member to expand upon domestic violence, not just among partners, but among the vicinity, because we just had a tragedy where the system failed at this moment in our community board. So this is very timely, and I want to see something expanded upon because the system failed Jackie, who was brutally murdered in one of our homes.
I would like to get, let's talk after. I'd like to get more information. Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions? No?
How's the speaker? Oh, wait a minute.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you for that. All right, there we go, there we go. That's the energy in the quiet room today. I just want to real quick, thank you, Jumina, for letting us know we have quorum. We have 27 members. So real quick, I just want to adopt formally tonight's agenda. Is there a motion?
Yeah,
One
this is
from
Liz Ritter. I
Anthony,
move we
second
adopt
from-
the agenda.
I'm sorry, Liz?
I move we adopt the agenda.
Okay, so I got you as a second. Are there any in opposition? And any recusals? Conflicts? No, none. Okay, thank you. We don't have minutes for this month, so we can't adopt those. All right, where's my agenda? We're gonna come up to the portion of the public session. Public session, 2 minutes per speaking. We're gonna start with our virtual participants. Thanks for the patience. And then we're gonna move to in-person. For in-person, we're just gonna use the podium mic to guarantee that everybody can hear. And just know, again, public session, as board members, we're unable to respond. So we're hearing you loud and clear. Make sure to connect with chairs or any board member in the room if you want to talk about it further in the committee, but at this portion, we're not able to. So I'm gonna start with, who we starting with?
Brian from the queue.
Okay, I got Bryant from CUNY. Let's see. Bryant Flores. All right, Brian, you can go ahead and unmute.
Hi, hello, can you hear me?
Brian?
Hello?
Yes, you can go ahead and get started.
Yes, just give me 1 second. For some reason, I can't seem to hear. Okay, yes. Hi, hello, my name is Brian Tufino Flores, and I am a student at the CUNY School of Public Health, and a topic that I wanted to speak about is predatory marketing of unhealthy foods being a major threat to the health of our children. Studies show that more and more kids are seeing ads for fast food, sugary drinks, and junk food, and they're more likely to consume these products. This sets them in a dangerous path towards obesity, diabetes, and other diet-related diseases. Companies intentionally use misleading tactics like health halos and targeting low-income communities to portray unhealthy products as nutritious options, creating this deliberate deception that needs to be stopped and addressed. Bill A04424B would help finally define predatory marketing in state law and empower the Attorney General to fine companies for such violations. It also gives parents the right to sue for damages for when deceptive practices harm their children. Passing this bill would significantly curb predatory food marketing to kids across New York. It would force companies to rethink their misleading advertising strategies, and it would help support parents trying to make healthy choices for their families. I urge local councilmen and state senators to back Bills A04424B to protect the health and welfare of children across our state from predatory marketing. This bill provides smart, effective solutions to a dangerous problem. Its passage would be a major victory for public health as well as those of New York City families. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Brian. By the way, if you can drop your email in the chat, we have chairs in the audience who would like to connect with you and essentially bring this as a resolution that we can advise and present to the city. So please throw it in the chat.
Of course, thank you.
Could you ask him to repeat the number of that bill and to also put that in the chat?
Yeah, if you can repeat the number of the bill as well, Brian.
Yes, it is A04424B, and I just added it to the Zoom.
All right, cool. We'll definitely reach out. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
I'm bugging right now. Excuse me. All right, next up we have, Arnold Gore. Excuse me, Arnold. I know I've seen your hand.
Hello, I'm Arnold Gore from Brooklyn, New York, and I used to live in Washington Heights for about 30 years. there are a number of people who live across the street from where I used to live at 689 Fort Washington Avenue, who are complaining about the towers that was constructed in front of their building. The community board has the authority to create a zoning and siting laws for telecommunication facilities to process the many people who are seriously harmed by the radiation emitted from these installations. The board should pass a resolution opposing the rollout of NYC Link kiosks without the environmental and historical preservation review that is required. The Federal Communications Commission has sent a letter requesting this. But currently there are bills in the Congress of the United States to limit and essentially take away your power to regulate zoning and siting of these facilities. Under the Federal Telecommunications Act, you currently have the authority, and the City Council should enact a zoning and siting act to more fully defend these zoning decisions. The bills in Congress that are of particular concern are HR 3557 and HR 4141, which want to take away your power to essentially approve siting and zoning of these facilities. This is possibly being done because of the success we have had in getting other community boards to pass resolutions opposing the siting of many of these facilities. I request that the community board also contact Congressman Espaillat in order to help oppose this series of bills that is being fast-tracked through the Congress.
Thank you, Arnold. I'm sorry, that was your time. If you have any extra and any information that you reference, you can feel free to put in the chat. Next up, we have Odette Wilkins.
Yes, hello. I apologize. My camera is not working for some reason. I'm Odette Wilkins, and I'm president and general counsel of Wired Broadband, Inc., a nonprofit in New York City dedicated to advocating for safer telecommunications. I've spoken before at this board, and many of you may already know that I grew up in Washington Heights, and I went to school at Mother Cabrini, so I'm very familiar with the neighborhood. The 5G towers are now undergoing historic preservation review required by the Federal Communications Commission. The FCC sent a letter to the site developer for 5G towers, CityBridge, in April of this year, which stated that CityBridge failed to comply with federal law requiring such review for those already constructed, and that prior to all future construction, there must be historic preservation review to determine if towers can be placed in proposed sites in historic districts or near historic structures. This is called the Section 106 review under the National Historic Preservation Act, which includes consulting parties. So you must request to be a consulting party to have a voice at the table, to provide your input on whether or not to place a 5G tower at the proposed locations. Now, I provided this information over many weeks during the spring to your district manager. I can provide the information again if the chair so requests. The process has had some problems, but it will restart shortly. So the time to request to be a consulting party is very limited, and the time is now. And if you don't do it now, you will lose your right under federal law to contest the placement of the 5G towers in your community board. You are slated to get 73 towers. That has not changed, particularly since the board has not gone for a moratorium. About 9 are listed for historic review. So you can contact me directly at owilkins, WILKENS at wiredbroadband.org, and I'll put that in the chat. And also, I did speak with the legislative director at Congressman Espaillat's office in Washington, D.C. when I was there last week regarding a boatload of telecom bills that Arnold just talked about. And that they will take away local control over the placement of wireless antennas and will undo the historic review that's now underway in New York City. So they will have a direct,
Sorry, that was your time. We do have
Okay.
a folks in person, but like you said, you shared your email and please put it in chat for folks. in
okay.
person. Thank you. Next up we have Sue Peters.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I'll start your time now.
Oh, great. I want to add something to what Odette just said. She's talking, these 5G towers that are 32 feet tall and have 5 or more antennas in them are going to be put on your sidewalks unless the board disapproves it. I just want to add to that. All of you have cell phones, right? Your children probably, at some point will get them very early in their lives. And I want to tell you the same radiation that comes from cell phones is massively going to come out of those towers. And let me tell you something, and I'll send you the information. Last month, the French government banned Apple's iPhone 12 in France. They announced the Apple phone exceeded the authorized limit on cell phone radiation exposure to users by 40%. Okay. They have an agency that monitors the radiation, just like our FCC, but their agency tests the phones to see if the telecom is telling the truth. And so far, the French agency has banned 43 models of cell phones for the same reason. They don't follow the guideline, the French guideline. Just think of this, in our country, our agency is the FCC. The FCC does not test our cell phones. They don't test it. You know what they do? They say to the telecoms who are making money on it, they say to the telecoms, you test it. And
So,
you keep.
sorry to interrupt you. Thank you so much for joining us. That's your time.
Okay, I just want everybody, especially the board chair, to know this fact. I'll send information to Ms. Diaz.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, we're gonna go to Mary Lady Pimentel from Muya.
Thank you. Hi, Marilady Pimentel from WIAT here. I want to share 2 events. WIAT membership meeting. This was going to be our final membership meeting for the year. And we're going to speak about be unveiling our 2024 policy agenda. And the new membership meeting of this one going to be Saturday, November 8th. Note that we have to move it for our usual second Saturday of the month. So it's going to be on the 3rd Saturday because of the Veteran Day. And it's going to be 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at 1818 Amsterdam Avenue. And for tomorrow, tomorrow 25 at 6 p.m., we co-host the Northern Manhattan Land Justice Town Hall at Prince Hall Grand Lodge at 454 and 155 Street. Please join us to learn about how democratically controlled community ownership of land in our neighborhood that we can use, that can be for environmental, health, and healthy justice. And we also going to be learn about community land act, that's bills that we are encouraged to apply. Please, I'm going to put the RSVP link online, and you are welcome to attend it. Thank you so much. Membership meeting and the event for tomorrow.
Perfect. Thank you, Maria. All right, we're gonna go next up to folks in person. Yes, that concludes. And so, like I said, we're gonna use the podium mic. So feel free to make a line to over here on the side on the left. So we're gonna start with Yosef in representation, or Yeshiva. Yeah, okay. Yeshiva, then we have Rena. I hope I'm not butchering your name and I apologize, and Shout. And Phoebe, and Batu. So it's 2 minutes. All right.
Okay. Stand here tonight as a dean of Yeshiva University, the flagship Jewish university in our community, as a member of Community Board 12, someone who's lived here in Washington Heights for 25 plus years, and as a proud Jew. These past few weeks have been extremely difficult on many different levels. Many of us woke up throughout the world on Simchat Torah, a day of celebration, to hearing the news, the sad news in Israel, the butchering, the murder, and what we now know of 1,400 Israelis, 4,932 people injured, and now 222 abducted individuals. Israel is a small country, about the size of New Jersey. 1,400 people being murdered in Israel, in a land of about 8 to 10 million people, in the equivalent of America, where there's over 300 million people, would be about 50,000 people. Let that seep in for a second. I have many family members who live in Israel. I have a son who's actually studying in Israel about 25 miles from Gaza. And I have a coworker, someone who works down the hall from me at Yeshiva, who expressed the following with me. He has 4 family members who were abducted. One of them was just found out to be murdered this week. He shared the following about his aunt, Efrat Katz. Efrat Katz, age 67. She was a well-respected agriculturalist in the fields of Nir Oz, a kibbutz about 10 minutes from Gaza, where she lived for 40 years. On October 7th, there were 450 residents of Nir Oz. Now, there are 190, 60% wiped out. It took 11 days for her body to be found, identified, and the family to be contacted. He told me her body she still is not buried. Efrat is the daughter of a Holocaust survivor. I'll be quick. Her mother died a few months ago at the age of 99. She has 2 daughters. That morning, she was with her longtime partner, Gadi, her daughter, Doron, 34 years old, her granddaughters, 4 and 2, Raz and Aviv. Terrorists forced their ways into her home, and they found their way to take them out. Efrat was killed and found on the way to Gaza. There was a public video circulating of them being carted out by the terrorists. Efrat's stepson is missing as well. This is just one family. Doron's husband is working as best as he can with media outlets to try to get his family members free, his wife and 2 daughters. Efrat's other daughter also lived in Nir Oz, was with her in-laws for Shabbat, was away. I ask you 2 things and to finish up. For all those who are here tonight. First of all, understand that there is evil in the world and that Hamas intentionally murdered women and children and older people and still holding 222 captives. This is despicable, and we have an obligation to speak out against terror and understand the need to eradicate terrorist murderers. There's no room for equivocation on this point. This is about good and evil. I thank those who have shown support for the Jewish people, who have called and asked, how are you doing? How is your family in Israel? Are you okay? I thank our president, our congressman, our mayor, our borough president, our councilwoman, and many other of our elected officials who have stand proudly and strongly in support of Israel at this time. I ask you to do the same. If you'd like to take an Israeli flag, I have some of them here and in the front as well. Finally, I ask you to take, I know my time is up, a moment of silence in memory of Efrat and all those that were murdered, and to keep them in mind.
Thanks, Yosef. Thank you, Yosef. Next up, we have Junie with Rena. Jeannie, I don't know why I always say Jeannie, sorry. I'll give you a little action.
This is not the time that I want to take for Rena. I have to speak after he spoke. I am a Jew also. I am a Holocaust survivor. My parents brought me here from Germany while I was born in Belgium. They fled from Germany, from the Nazis. So I know, and it's not that I am not proud to be Jewish. I am now disgusted at what Israel is doing in response to the bad Hamas. And we cannot only speak about the people who were killed in Israel. That's racist. There are 5,000 people killed in Palestine now, in Gaza, not counting the West Bank. Half of them are children. They're not talking about this. So this is not what my 2 minutes, because my 2 minutes is Rena. But I could not prevent myself from responding to what he said. And Congressman Espaillat, you had a rally, which was good. You were sorry and felt bad about the horrible murders of Jewish people in Israel. Are you going to do the same for Palestinians? If you don't agree to a ceasefire now, then you're agreeing to the murder of hundreds and hundreds of thousands of more people from Gaza and Palestinians who are going to be removed and exterminated from this world. That's what's happening, genocide. Okay, that's it. Thank you. Sorry. Now, the reason I came here was not that. The reason I came here is because to tell you and to invite you to a very important community meeting organized by our organization, RENA, Riverside Edgecombe Neighborhood Association, on the issue of rents, high rents. People in our community cannot afford to pay these rents. The RGB has increased rents several years in a row under this Mayor Adams, who is not our friend. And we have many people who want to speak. We have invited, and they are coming, our Councilwoman Carmen de la Rosa. She'll be there, and Robert Jackson, our state senator, as well as Sheila Garcia, who some of you might know was a member of the Rent Guidelines Board of Tenant Rep. So we have flyers, and we hope you will come this Friday, 6:30, at the Church of the Intercession on 155th near Broadway. Okay, and I hope you'll come. Thank you.
You can send the flyers when we.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
All right, next up we have Hanshao and Phoebe.
Oh, it's there.
Oh, okay, observe, all good. Is there about Sue who's gonna be speaking from vendors of advocacy? Come on up, thank you. We can test it, yeah. Give us a second, we're gonna try and test the loud microphone. No. All right, just so for the sake of time, we'll keep going.
Thank you.
All right.
Hi, guys. My name is Batu. I don't know if you guys recognize me, but I'm the son of the owner of the food stand on 706 West 181st Street. It's like right in front of the McDonald's. We've been having a lot of issues lately. We're licensed, we're permitted. We pay our taxes. I have tax returns. If anyone doesn't believe us, we paid $12,000 last year. But for whatever reason, constantly from the Department of Sanitation, Department of Health, we're always being targeted, so to speak, getting ridiculous amounts of tickets. We got $2,000 tickets just a couple months ago for having a tent that covers the fruits and vegetables, and that also kind of protects my father from storms and stuff like that. There's a lot of other vendors who aren't licensed, who aren't permitted. I'm not even sure if they pay taxes. They're all over the place. So I'm just here to advocate and ask for, I guess, help, because I do see familiar faces here. A couple of months prior, we almost had our entire stand being thrown out by the Department of Sanitation. And thanks to the Senator Robert Jackson, he was able to speak to the Commissioner of Sanitation, and that's how it got stopped. And ever since then, I think I have been around May or June. They've always been coming, and I don't know why. I mean, we have everything up to date, permits, licenses. My dad's been in the community for 10 years. During COVID, he didn't close one day. We've been open 24 hours, 7 days a week when all other stores were closed. So this is kind of like a last resort. I'm sorry?
No, you can keep going, I'm sorry.
So yeah, so like I was saying, this is kind of like a last resort. Every single office I contacted said it's out of our jurisdiction, or hey, there's nothing really I can really do about it. It's the Department of Sanitation. But it's getting ridiculous at this point. They're coming every 2 days. And like I said, I do see a couple of communities on Twitter, no one's doing anything about it. So I call on the community board to actually take action and to help out as best you can. I can give my email, my phone number, whatever needs to happen. But yeah, my dad sent me here tonight. So hopefully, we can work together to find a solution. Thank you, guys.
You want to talk to the man with the bullseye? For sure.
Thank you.
Spontaneously added to the public session.
I've just ended the public session. It's at 7 p.m. that it closes, so I gotta keep going. Next time. All right, we're gonna move forward. Public session, that was our last speaker. We're going to go on to our resolutions for tonight. We're gonna start with an item from traffic and transportation. There's a misspelling, but the spirit is there. So we're gonna have Debbie come on up. Edgar, we got you in the chat in a second. And then we're gonna go with Isidro for licensing.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Just want to start by saying thanks from traffic and transportation to Chanel, who is our support person, and we are grateful for her work with us these past several years, and we'll miss her. Before I get to the resolution, I just want to, I'm mostly referring to the minutes, but I do want to point people to apropos part of Ebenezer's update. That DOT was at the committee for 2 items, but one of those was to present the traffic calming measures that they will be doing at Margaret Court Circle. So if residents around there took matters in their own hands, because it's not happening right away. But if there are plans, and you can read about those in the minutes, they may or may not get done before weather sort of stops their ability to do construction for the season. But hopefully we've got a shot to get it done in October. We have one resolution today, which is sort of one of those like must-do things for community board. It's called the revocable consent. Revocable consent is something that we have to resolve on. And that happens when a private entity is basically using city property. So city property in this instance is our sidewalks. And we've had 1 or 2 like this before. In this case, at the Church of Incarnation, putting in an accessible ramp outside one of their exit entries. And so it's, yeah, it needs to be done because we need to give permission. And again, it's revocable, meaning we have the right to take it back in the future if we needed to. As Leo Jimenez pointed out, having gone to Sylvan, and we all saw in the pictures, it's a beautiful church with really, 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 really wide sidewalks. So not a problem, but that's what you're seeing there. It's short, it's simple. Thanks to Jim Berlin for writing it. And I'm just looking through to see, again, if you want to read about the other item that DOT presented, but we are not resolving on tonight because there were some items that we just couldn't work out about it. They did, after 10 years, present us with their design ideas for 165th and Riverside Drive, which is a really, really challenging intersection.
Thank you. Any questions? None on Zoom. All right, thanks. Jimmy, all right, I'm gonna keep the screen sharing up just for this portion, then we'll bring it back down. Thank you, because I know folks like to see our licensing items. So Isidro, you're up. And you just got confused.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. The license committee had a really great meeting last Wednesday, 2 Wednesdays ago. My shout out to Roy for writing the minutes. We had practically no issues to report. We had a really happy meeting. The end was short, it was fast and sweet. But I do want to bring to your attention that agenda item number 9 is an objection. So that's a typo. And then agenda item number 10 will now become an objection because it was part of the stipulations that they submit documents by Friday before 5 o'clock. A proof of purchase was sound limited. However, they did not submit the proof as requested. So this is going to be changed to an objection. The resolutions, I think, are very straightforward. I'm really grateful for Robin to write up the minutes. If I'm missing anything, I will ask the committee members chime in if I miss any details. I'm going to open up the floor now for questions. I see Steve, followed by Benjamin.
Steve, y'all don't have to come up. Sorry, Steve, Carmen, and Wayne, you got a hand up? You're gonna have to come up to the mic just for Zoom to hear you. Yeah, you get the spotlight. Michelle's working on the microphone, so.
Is it possible to ask the question and repeat it?
We could do that. Let's do that. Let's do that. Sorry, I was making folks steps soon. Thank you.
Getting some pressure is great as.
All right, so Steve is gonna come to the mic and then we'll have you, Steve, it'll just repeat back the question for the microphone. There we go.
All right, my question involves item number 2. I'm a bit confused by the minutes, which indicate that there was a resident who spoke, but there's no detail about what that person said. And then the response appears to be from the owner, Miguel Acosta, stated that the something is not at issue, I guess. So I'd like to know what was being discussed at that point in the meeting. And then I just want to point out that in the resolution for this item, there appears to be a typo in the second to last whereas. It says that the community board on September 28th of 2021 did not object to this establishment's request to renew its on-premises liquor license because there was no representation from the establishment. I assume if there was no representation, we probably would have objected. So
correct.
Okay, so that's a mistake in that one. And you'll explain to me what the byplay was in that discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So as far as agenda number 2, there was a comment by a resident where she was complaining that there was no representation of the 34th precinct. And that's where we get our data from. So 34th precinct was not present. And that's why the resident, Cheryl Miller, indicated that we as a board and already brought this to district manager to please make sure that the 34th and 33rd precincts get confirmation to our meetings. Next question, please.
I see, Bill. Is this working? Is it working?
No.
So, I mean.
We'll
repeat
repeat.
the question.
Michelle, just kudos to Michelle for working on this, on meetings.
5 and 7. 5, there's a change in method of operation. Can you clarify from what to what? And also from item 7, there's a corporate change. Once again, can you clarify from what to what?
Sure. So the question is to clarify agenda item number 5, and the request is on the step. I mean on the resolutions. If you check about the 10th, where asses, they were like explained that the proposed hours are on the 11th were asked. So those are the new hours that they're requesting. And then agenda item number 7 you indicated?
Yeah.
Agenda item number 7, there is a corporate change. And practically there's a new ownership that is taking over the establishment, buying over 80% of the shares, and that is also stated on the resolution.
Carmen.
Carmen?
I would like clarification for number 10. Did you say that they had submitted documents by 5 p.m. on Friday, or they didn't submit documents at all?
They didn't. So they didn't. I'm sorry.
No, para que diga number 10.
Oh, so agenda item number 10, the question is about a document that was supposed to be submitted to the staff by Friday, last Friday by 5 p.m. It was a request that we had made to the applicant that they submit a copy of the proof of a sound limiter to the community board. We usually request this proof of purchase, even though the establishment is not open, to make sure that the purchase is sound limited in case there are issues with noise, that they can rectify the problem with the sound limited. That request was made and was not executed by the applicant, and that's why we are overturning the resolution from a positive to a negative.
Any Zoom hands for, please, nothing, Jacob.
Ordinarily, I read your minutes, but I didn't see them. Can you quickly speak to the nature of the objection for items 1 and 3?
So agenda item number 1, there was no, they didn't submit a complete application, meaning that they didn't submit a copy of the questionnaire, they didn't post a public notice. And there was also an objection, the last resolution by the board. Agenda item number 3, you said? Yeah. Same thing. No, there was no one representing the applicant, and they did not submit a complete application to the board. Any other ones?
No.
You see, really easy meeting, and even here. Thank you so much.
Oh, wait, Luana.
You see,
Oh, number 9.
yes,
I hope that change objections.
and also agenda item number 9. There's a typo for agenda item number 9. Should have been an objection.
Okay, so 9 and 10.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we're gonna have Dumi come here, we're gonna do roll call. Before we do roll call, and today's that day. We have a new member with us, folks, who was just appointed late last week, I wanna say, if she's still here. Hannah, yeah, Hannah, if you can just stand up so folks on Zoom can see you. Hannah, welcome. You're diving right into to voting. So if you have any questions, we got you. And we can talk on the side as well. So you'll see Hannah floating through committees and soon to be assigned. So I guess we're just gonna have to repeat back the votes on here. Okay. You don't know, Peter? Yeah. Okay. Yes, Jim? All right, we have a parliamentarian moment.
That's why I needed these books. For our new member, it turns out that abstentions at the community board are different from abstentions in the rest of the world. Normally, when you abstain in the rest of the world, like staying home from plain old voting, which is an abstention, it just doesn't count. Here, it actually gets counted, even though it's an abstention, it gets counted as a vote not in favor of the resolution. So my point is that if you abstain, it's not like you're not commenting, you actually are. And probably the safest thing to do, not that I will tell you what to do, is just go along with the recommendations of the committee, which most of us will do.
I object to that comment.
Okay, you are allowed to object to it, and I have no problem with what I said.
But you could also abstain because you don't necessarily agree with a wholehearted.
That is correct. I exactly, but it counts as a vote, not, it does. That it doesn't.
It's a no, but I'm just a no that I'm not with.
Oh, exactly. I believe I tried to say that. Unfortunately, I didn't make myself clear.
Do you want to explain the licensing if it's?
Oh, yeah, if it's negative.
Oh, the other complication is there are 2 or 3 resolutions that are negative resolutions. That means the committee and the community board says we don't want this. So if you agree, you don't want this either, you have to vote in favor of that resolution. Because if you vote opposed to it, then you say that you do want it. And the other thing is that if enough people, if a resolution from the licensing committee gets turned down, the sense of the resolution changes. So if the resolution says it was in favor, the resolution flips and says it was opposed. Sorry, things are so confusing.
It's kind of nay, not? Nay, okay, Hannah nay, sorry, thank you, I have to go back. All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you. Who the one? All right, so let's get started. Joelle. How do you vote? Thank you. Elvin Adams? Adamus? Yes, yes to all?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So yes to all, gotcha. I vote yes to all. Richard Almond?
Yes, to all.
Mary Anderson? She left the Zoom. Yeah, keep going. Okay. Jacob Bonas?
Yes, to all.
Thank you. Radia Barnes?
Yes.
Natalia? She's not present. Wayne?
Yes to all except for number 5, on which I don't know.
Daniel Bonilla?
That's all.
James Bosley?
Yes, to all.
Thank you. Daryl?
Yes, to all. What happened to me?
Can you give me a second? Can you do that? Yeah, can you give me a second? You didn't sign in, Jim, that's all. Yeah. You're gonna get the vote done. You're actually. This is not an answer. People waiting. All right. All right, I'll come back to you. Nobles?
That's all.
Thank you. Robin Cruz?
Yes, to all.
Thank you. Domingo? Thank you. Luana? Tanisha Grant, I see you're online.
Yes, to all.
Thank you.
Yes to all.
Thank you. I see Barbara, you're virtual.
Yes to all.
Thank you. Heidi Guzman?
Yes to all.
Thank you. Jody Hearson?
Yes to all.
Thank you. Leopoldo Jimenez?
You just say Leo. Yes to all.
Okay, got you. Yusuf?
Yes, to all.
Thank you. Michelle? Thank you. Osi, I see you online.
Yes to all.
Thank you. Liz?
Yes to all.
Thank you. Emily Marte?
Yes to all.
Thank you. Tracy McNeil?
Yes, Emily.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Look at her proxy vote. Isidro Medina.
Yes, to all.
Deborah?
Yes to all.
Jonathan?
Yes, to all.
Carmen Paulino?
Yes to all.
Steve Simon?
Yes, to all.
Anthony Viola? Anthony?
No to 12, yes to the rest.
No to 12, yes to the rest. And Hannah? And then lastly, Jim Berlin.
You have to show that I didn't find.
I got you. I
That's
don't.
very curious.
No, it's true. Go ahead. What's your vote? What's your vote?
You guys skipped me.
Oh, Indiana, thank you.
Yes to all.
I thought I was about to vote.
Go, is that Indiana was unmuted, so she said voted yes, now it's your turn. It's okay.
I don't like these virtual meetings at all. Anyway, I vote yes to all except for number 5, for which I vote no.
5 is, yeah, we got the rest. So it's 5 no, and then, Mario, go ahead.
Yes to all. Thank you.
Luis. Luis, I saw your hand, we saw your hand up. Where you go?
Oh, I was skipped.
Luis, what was that?
But yes. I'm sorry, what's the question?
What's your vote?
Yes to all.
All right, anybody else besides me missing, Michelle, no?
Yeah.
Okay, yes to all.
There is the.
Mary's not on.
The OC vote?
OC did, huh? Yeah.
Yes, it is.
All right. We'll spot check. All right, we still have some time. At 8:15, we can do this.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Jumina. She'll be calculating, but most of it, everything passes tonight. We're gonna go on real quick to committee reports. So that it's not a bad dash as Liz for folks for Zoom, folks who are in person know. We have three cards going around, two for Chanel, whose last day is Friday, so if you didn't sign it, please sign it before you leave. And one for Jay Mazer, who is hospitalized. If you do want to, if you're on Zoom and want to reach out, and be able to either physically sign or show support some other way, please reach out to the office. We'll connect with Jim around, getting some well wishes to Jay Mazer and any support he might need at this time. Thank you. All right, committee reports. Joelle, come on down. Followed, Eliezer is actually not present tonight. Tonight is the panel interview for the 33rd precinct, with which he's my delegate for. So we'll be hearing from him about that next month.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good evening, everyone. I'm still getting over a cold, so don't mind me. I'm gonna refer everybody to the minutes, but I do want to mention a couple events. First of all, I hope everybody enjoyed their Hispanic Heritage Month. It was great. One of the events that we had, I know we reviewed it a little bit, was the Latin food market, the Latin night market, excuse me. I am looking for feedback to deliver it to Marcos. Anything that you may have encountered or want to share about the event, please bring it to me, because we're going to have a follow-up meeting with Marco so we can continue the event for next spring. Speaking of Hispanic Heritage Month, we had a couple of MWBE events in October. I hope everybody, I think one was the comptroller and the other one was the mayor's office, the Manhattan Borough's president's office. But if you have any questions or have any business owners that want to be MWBE and certified, please come see me and I'll direct them to the right source. A couple of events that I want to highlight this week, especially Yeshiva University and the Innovation Lab is hosting their Business Hype in the Heights. It's kind of a business incubator for startups. They're offering pro bono advice to new startups. Any business ideas that you have or current businesses, come to the Innovation Lab. They provide resources, and they're also looking for businesses to invite into their actual consultancy. So this tomorrow, I know it's on Thursday at 6 o'clock at the Radio Hotel. Also, important to mention, Cloth is building a bid from 155th Street to 177th Street. It's still in bid formation. They have created a steering committee, but they need more support. So they're hosting an event on the 30th as well. It's from 6 to 8. It's mainly for the businesses that are in that area from 155th Street to 177th Street. So come out to that event, invite people that are in that section of Washington Heights so they could be a participant in the bid formation. It's important they bring resources, supplemental sanitation to this area. So if you know any of those businesses in that area, please refer them to me. Last thing that I want to mention quickly, in December's meeting, so outdoor dining is a huge thing that's happening. DOT just released some regulations, some rules. There's an event happening in the beginning of November, but I'll get more details later about the new regulations that DOT has provided about the outdoor dining. Outdoor dining has become permanent now. It's a great thing. It's one of the few things that came out of the pandemic. But there's new regulations. A lot of these structures are gonna have to come down and be rebuilt. We're just learning about the new DOT regulations. So I'll give you more info on that event as details roll out. All right. Okay, thanks. All right, any questions? No? All right, great.
All right, thank you, John. Mary's not here, so Marielle, up to you. Wait, Maria's still here. I'll give a minute. Let me see. Steve, you ready to go next?
Sorry, Catherine, did you call me?
You can pause. Yeah, go ahead, Mario.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Apologies, I can't be there in person. So earlier this month, the Housing and Human Services Committee met. Again, I want to give a big shout out to particularly to both Emily and Jay for really kind of stepping up and helping lead the meeting as I was unable to attend in person. We went through our capital and expense items. For the most part, we kept everything as last year. There were 3 new additions. You can all refer to the minutes. We had a presentation from the bridge, as I mentioned earlier, to talk about the Navigator program, and they're hiring for 3 slots. So I'll make sure that the flyer is shared with the office. And we also had a short update from Congressman Espaillat's office through Lori on the migrant crisis. And so that's something that we'll kind of continue to work with that office, but also all the other elected officials as well, to continue to keep an eye on that situation and follow it. One thing we kind of did note, and something that we'll be doing over the coming months, is just really tracking and following up with the relevant agencies and OMB on the comments that they shared on the different items. That's something that we haven't been able to do just because it's such a rushed process, but definitely something that we'll be looking into over the next couple of months. Happy to answer any questions, but again, for the rest, refer to the minutes. Thanks.
Okay. I don't see hands in person. Since Steve's prepared, we're gonna have Steve, and then it's gonna go off to Mary, who's joined us back. Thank you, Mary, for joining.
Actually, Mario, I think all of the committee should be following up on those responses from all of you to all past budget, because my committee is going to contribute to that as well. As I do every month, I provide updates on the latest statistics for our community on COVID-19. While the transmission rate is less than half what it was last month, last time we met. Meanwhile, there still have been hundreds more cases in our 4 zip codes in the last month, and 6 more people have died from COVID during that time. The hospitalization rate in 3 of our 4 zip codes is above the median for the zip codes around the city. And so, as I say every month, COVID is still with us. The pandemic has not gone away. So in that regard, I'm in touch with the Ryan Health Center, which has a site on Wadsworth Avenue, just south of 181st Street. But better than that, it has a mobile van which can go through the community, providing free COVID and flu shots. And I am hoping, I think we'll be able to arrange to have the community board co-sponsor. I'm hoping for at least 3 different stops for the mobile van in different sections of Washington Heights and Inwood. And of course, and the other benefit of this mobile van is that it serves people with or without insurance. So the full spectrum of people in our community can be served. And as I also point out every month, our vaccination rates in this community are significantly lower than the rest of Manhattan and the rest of the city. And so anything we can do to promote getting people vaccinated in this community and helping to protect them against COVID and the flu, I think is something that this community board could get behind. There is no news again on when or if the psych unit at the Allen Hospital will be reinstated. The hospital is now saying, however, that before the end of the year, a final resolution will be announced. They've never given us a time frame before in this entire period, over the last 3.5 years. Now they're saying a resolution will be announced. And that apparently is consistent with a recent announcement by the governor, in which she said that 500 psych beds around the state will be open by early next year. And if the hospital systems don't quickly reopen their psych wards, they will be fined. So I have to believe that these 2 things are connected. And also maybe on the positive side, the hospital is now saying that they're down to a choice between two restaurateurs on who's going to take over the Coogan site. For me, and maybe for some of you other people here, that's a pretty important item. I don't know about you, but I need that respect.
You're gonna, no?
Yeah, well, hopefully this restaurant will be at least as good as Coogan's. And we'll have at least the same commitment to the community as Coogan's did, because that's what really made that place special. And finally, in our last meeting, we had a very interesting presentation from WEACT on toxic beauty and personal care products. I'm going to ask Ebenezer to circulate that presentation to all of the board members. There is some legislation that's linked to this issue that is being presented in Albany and in Washington. And we'll probably be coming back to you at some point, probably around January or so, ask to pass resolutions in support of that legislation. And my last point is that I had promised a presentation on climate change at our October meeting. Did not happen, and I now have a confirmation that the professor from Columbia, who's going to do that presentation, will be coming to our November meeting. Do I have 2 more? Okay, wearing my cross, because I also work for the Forest Department. I invite everybody to David Wright Park on Friday between 4 and 8 for a Hollow Scream event. We had a Halloween event there last week that was very successful, and they're coming back and doing a second version of it Friday 4 to 8. And the Little Red Lighthouse, the festival itself was rained out a few weeks back, but we are still going to have an event and provide tours to kids like that one. And on Saturday, November the 4th, between 12 and 4, and there'll also be readings of the book, the Little Red Lighthouse and the Great Gray Bridge. What's that?
Liz has an.
Oh,
Liz, go ahead.
Sorry,
Liz Ritter is like in 12 different time zones away from us. She can't even. There's no way that she's even awake.
I'm awake. It's 2:30 in the morning here. Has the Bonifant opened yet?
Yes.
Yeah.
Saw it.
Yes.
Sweet. First stop when I get back.
And then the window has a question.
Well, maybe they can deliver to wherever you want.
Okay.
I'm in Spain, in Zaragoza.
All right, now we got 2 hands, Domingo and then Debbie.
Steve, as far as the Red Lighthouse, the tours, are you all partnering with schools to do like trips over there?
Well, I tell you, the problem is that the structure is in a precarious condition. So we have to limit the number of people who go in there. There can be no more than 6 at a time. So for Saturday on November the 4th, we're probably going to be oversubscribed. There'll probably be a lot more people showing up. Well, we can probably arrange that with our park rangers. Yeah.
That's for Little Red Lighthouse tour for constants.
Yeah.
So our members will be aware that they're whispering about open restaurants, and I just want to clarify because it affects your committee to so before we have our plan, I'm going to take this opportunity before it's open right now. It's open until November 20th. In the 30-day public comment period, not only program writ large on the proposed rules that were released. So maybe, they're back there discussing it and like, should we have a joint meeting? But I think what might be a good idea, because any of us can write in now, but maybe for each of our November meetings, that we each have it on the agenda, and then if, obviously, again, people can do it as an individual, but then if we want to do anything that's committees into the public comment period, let me know. So they cooked it up.
Okay, for clarity's sake for Zoom, so when Joel was talking about the open restaurants program, public comment period around the regulations is a 30-day period. So essentially, what we can do is that every committee chair who is interested in this can add it to their agenda. They can review regs, talk about it. If there's items that are gonna be voted on or any recommendations or opinions, then we can do that through exec as we have with other regs. Where our state, basically as a board, we can ratify that at executive committee. If there's any or the deadline.
Here's a link, and maybe I'll forward it to the communities, that you can go and.
Okay, so, but we can talk about that offline. Let me keep going, because I know we have one more hand on Zoom before the next share. So Tanisha, don't leave Steve, sorry, because I don't have the screen. Go ahead, Tanisha. No, there's one more hand for you.
Hello, thank you, Chair. I would just like to talk about real quick a couple of events from Parents Supporting Parents New York. There will be a virtual meeting.
Sorry, Tanisha, do you mind giving maybe like 10 more minutes? We're gonna get some announcements. We're still.
Oh, okay, that's why I put it in the chat. All right,
I
thank
didn't
you.
see that, my fault. Thank you. All right, who's next? Wayne? Sorry, Mary, you're right, Mary, who is not on Zoom anymore. All right.
Thank you, Catherine. I refer you to the minutes of the Land Use Committee meeting, and they are fairly extensive. Thank you, Anthony, for taking the minutes, and thank committee members who helped to review and edit. There are two items 4 and 5, that I want to just talk to you about a bit. As you may know, we've discussed it in the past, the city of New York is undertaking 3 citywide zoning initiatives, all under the heading of City of Yes. Previously, not just yet. So previously, we reviewed and supported the City of Yes for sustainability. At the November land use meeting, the Department of City Planning will present the City of Yes for economic opportunity. And sometime in the spring of 2024, City Planning will present the City of Yes for housing opportunity. These two latter citywide zoning initiatives are somewhat more complicated, and in some cases, somewhat more nuanced than the first one, which just dealt with sustainability. So there were informational meetings for these. They were recorded, and folks who cannot attend the land use committee but want to get detailed information, you can go to those recordings. You can also look at the information that was put together for the presentation. I know that the licensing committee and the business development committee are interested in this upcoming City of Yes for economic opportunity. So I shared the information with the chairs and whether they can attend or not, or have members attend. This is probably an issue that's going to cross over, more than one committee. Also, in terms of number 5, we have, as a community board, as a land use committee, talked about historic preservation for a number of years. There are particular groups, particular individuals who have been really focused on it. But what we are doing now with the Historic Districts Council, which is a citywide advocate for preservation, is to survey the community residents as a whole, to get their feedback on what buildings, what areas they would like to see considered for preservation, and give the reasons why. So in your package, there is the survey that was put together. It is in English and Spanish. The idea is this is going to be available as a Google form, so it can be done digitally. For folks who would prefer to do it as hard copies, we are going to partner with the community board office and the public library, so copies can be out there. The community board, Ebenezer, is going to e-blast the surveys. It's going to get posted on the website, and the board members who have the survey are encouraged to take the survey. And we really want to get the word out that the idea is to get community residents to let us know what they're interested in. We want their feedback. Catherine, you're going to make sure this happens, right? That's right?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions?
I think we got a fellow to help with that.
But I mean, it's all done, just needs to get posted.
Yeah.
We're gonna speak about education.
Is who going to speak about education?
Of the City of Yes.
That is not one of the 3, but then again, the Department of City Planning would not be the agency that would deal with education. So if there's some education initiatives coming out, it probably will be coming out of a different city agency, DOE.
Mhm. All right, who's next? Yeah, both. All right, Luana, and then we got 4 more. So Luana, Domingo, Daryl, and then Nobles.
Thank you very much. Good evening, buenas noches. Shout out to Liz. Liz, I think I did good my first meeting. I hope you're safe. And also to our co-chair, Alexis Marnell, for taking such fabulous minutes, which I will refer you to. We had usual programming updates from the Hispanic Society, the New York Restoration Project, Row New York, and the Jumel Mansion. So you can go on the website to see what their programming updates is, because the one important agenda, aside from the rankings, the committee rankings, is a presentation from Percent for Art. That's under the umbrella of the New York City Council. And what's happening right now is that there's dedicated funding of $80,000 to bring permanent art to the Fort Washington Children's Library. I know that was not 2 minutes. Okay. So right now they're putting together 2 panels, one advisory and one voting. The voting panel is comprised of qualified people that can comment on art. And then the advisory panel is people, like the name says, that can advise on the artwork that will be installed in this facility. This is a multi-phase project that will span from October to March, with the first panel scheduled on January 17th. And then if you want to nominate people to these panels for yourself, you can most certainly do that. And the address is in the minutes. It is percentinfo@culture.nyc.gov. So if you have, that was the most important. There were no resolutions. That was the presentation. So I'm open for questions. And then I also want to use this time. Oh, yes, question.
Yes, is the art and public space only visual art and performance art as well?
I believe that for this particular project, it will be visual art, because these pieces are permanent. And unless you get dancers that will dance 24 hours a day, yes, but this is for visual arts. That's my understanding of it. Okay, and also please rank, if you have not done your rankings, please rank projects for art, for parks and culture high. I know that there are a lot of priorities, but there's something to be said about how quality of life improves when you have public spaces, culture, parks, and all of that. So if you haven't done so, please rank our projects high. Not all of them, but some of them. Thank you.
Domingo, come on down. Just come on down, Domingo and Nobles.
So I would refer to the minutes, but unfortunately Mancita's in the hospital, so she wasn't able to type them up, which is understandable, but we'll have our minutes for our next meeting. It was a great meeting, but I just, similar to what Luana said, I would love to encourage everybody to rank our items high, particularly that of capital. Ventilations is a huge issue within our schools. And we need to be able to prioritize being able to make sure that we don't only nurture a safe environment, but we also have a healthy environment, which I think is going to be essential for the development of the youth. And also, one thing I would recommend everybody to rank high within capital is we didn't want to submit too many items. We understood that there's a lot of projects in the pipeline, particularly that the school construction authority currently has, But what we do want to do is develop a system where there's accountability in the system, so we could be able to constantly advocate for equity, as far as like being able to develop a system where the school construction authority, we're able to monitor what projects are being done within our buildings and also identify who are the people that we could speak on when an item is prolonged for a certain amount of time and there's no movement. So I would encourage folks to vote on those two, then the rest, I let your conscience decide. I can't say I'll refer to the minutes, but the minutes will be absolute. Thank you.
I know.
I have a question.
And then Wayne.
Yes, Liz.
Yeah, can you just explain to me about the capital tracker? I mean, it sounds very important, but isn't that an expense item? I mean, I can't imagine that a project to track the capital projects would be itself a capital project.
It's under capital. Yeah, there was a mistake there, but I believe it is.
It should get
also I believe it surpasses a certain threshold that makes it a capital item. Because I believe it's like over 250,000. It becomes.
Oh, above 5,000 is capital.
Okay.
The threshold for capital item is 50,000, but that's.
Would that be considered an expense?
But you know something, this is a little bit of a gray area, because.
It's tech.
Because you're talking about creating a capital tracker for schools.
Well, we could pilot it in District 6, but ideally, we would like to be able to monitor what projects are being executed in the proper timeline for, and who do we talk to when a project has been stagnant for 5+ years.
I understand. I would have to double check on this, but the Parks Department actually initiated the idea of having a capital project tracker, and I'm not sure it's possible that we may actually be paying for it as some capital funds. I would have to check.
So it's a gray area, Liz, due to the amount that usually costs to be able to do it.
Thank you.
It has nothing to do with the amount.
We will take away the gray in the next couple of days.
Okay, so there's a president about to be created, but it's currently in a gray phase.
All
right.
Wayne, where you going?
Oh, yeah, Wayne.
Didn't the borough, when Scott Springer was borough president, didn't he create at least from Manhattan a capital tracking program?
It's not necessarily capital per se, it's more like within the institution of the school construction authority, being able to, I understand, but from my understanding, that institution is a very like in the shadow. When they show up, it happens. So for us, it was like the information is very difficult and there's no proper follow-up, so that's where that came from.
I understand, I mean, that's the reason why way back when Scott did it. I would maybe have the office check with the borough president's office to see if that program still exists, and if it does, which agencies it captures.
Okay, cool, thank you.
William Porfirio. Okay, Joseph.
Just for everybody who went in, when is the voting happening?
11:59 p.m. tonight.
So make sure you submit your rankings tonight.
Email after the meeting?
It's been emailed.
emailed.
I don't think we'll have the ability to bump it up again in the morning, so I would say double check. It says rank your, I think rank your budget, rank your something.
So I'm good, thank you, have a good one.
The deadline was 11:59, but if it's in Ebenezer's inbox when he settled into the office, that's okay. We gotta keep going. Oh, sorry, bylaws, and then Candace.
Good evening, everyone. Just a few things. We were hoping to have stuff for you to vote on. As you know, the election process for this season has started already with the nominations committee being appointed. But we, because we're an internal task force, we don't have to open it up to the public initially. It certainly will be opened up to the public, but I did not realize that it had to be voted on. And for it to be voted on, it has to be open to the public. So that will happen before the next meeting. But some of what you'll see with that resolution will be talk about the roles of the officers succession planning, as well as the elections process itself. Just one of the main items before it does get to you, I hope you all think about the fact that we have term limits as board members and what that might look like for board officers, and should they have term limits and what that might look like. That'll probably be the main discussion at that point. Thank you.
Domingo, got a question, please.
Is there anything around, I remember we spoke about like the instances where people could talk to, like, refer to their colleagues in the consent tone of social media and talk. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean,
as one of the people that people
Yeah.
used to have like these small little comments online, I think it's important to like, is there a conduct?
Well, the borough president does have a rules of conduct for all community boards.
Okay, so we're leaving it there.
I mean, it's something that hasn't been referenced in the past, but will be referenced in the new bylaws suggestions. Yeah.
No.
Hey guys.
You came with that?
Hey guys, I'm Nobles. I'm the chair of the Cannabis Task Force. On the job with the awesome committee since February this year. Thank you, Chair. Listen, we have our first public meeting coming up next month. We are on the calendar. We will be having the first Mondays of every month at 6:30. We will have the little office. If you'd like to come down in person, we can split a dube on the street after. You have my word. Come down to the office 6:30 on first Mondays. And please witness all that our neighborhood has to give with awesome repertory cannabis law. A lot going on. We have developed a questionnaire. It has been translated to Spanish. Thank you so much, Timari, for doing that. And we are ready to rock and take on applications. Now, I know you guys are probably wondering how many applications do you have? How do you apply for, a cannabis retail license? We did have a company want to come in front of the committee to be approved for a cannabis license. Well, we don't approve the cannabis license, we give our recommendation. Just like our licensing committee does give recommendations for liquor licenses, we will give recommendations for retail licenses when it comes to cannabis. But here's the deal. If you get the question of, how do I apply? The number one thing you need to have when you apply to the community board is a place of retail. You need to have a signed lease. We are not accepting applications if you do not have a place, because that is a very large part of our review, is where your place is going to be. And this is all transparent, by the way. You can get all the rules that we have in the application from our office and Mr. Smith over here. So if you do have folks that are interested, please ask them to contact Mr. Smith. You can get them the application. I'm happy to answer any questions. First Monday, 6:30. Yes. Thanks.
I've been having conversations with educators in schools, and is there, and I'm sorry,
Please.
Are there stipulations in terms of school proximity?
Absolutely. That's in the questionnaire. And I think off the top of my head, I think it's 200 feet. It's the same as the liquor. Thank you. And also like historical sites. I see you, Wayne. Shout out to Wayne. Because that was a piece of feedback that you gave to us when we first reviewed the, I know I got like 30 seconds left. We have one more question. Yes, Steve.
When you say that we're having a public meeting, you're having a public meeting next month, does that mean that we now have a specific application for a site in Washington, I.D.?
Not yet, but what we will be doing, we were going to review it in this first meeting, but since they had to withdraw because they don't have a place for business yet, I will at least be using this meeting to go through the questionnaire for anyone that has a question. Joe?
Just for everybody, there's 60 days to apply for a license. It's starting October 4th.
October 4th is when it started.
Yeah, October 4th is when it started. Then 60 days after that, you can apply for the license.
Thank you very much. This is an evolving piece of legislation that has been coming out into many different ways in many different parts of New York State. So it's all a learning process, and we'll be patient together, but we're going to be leading the charge here in Northern Manhattan.
They just extended it.
Oh, again?
Yes, December 18th is the deadline.
Do they get like notifications, like text notifications? I'm trying, man, I'm trying.
Let's find out.
Oh, I love that, yo, Tamika, what was one of the ideas? Any other questions?
Alvin.
What's up, man?
Yeah, I have a question regarding the place of business. Are we looking at leases, terms of leases, leases?
What is it for SLA? It's a term of lease, I think, right? Isn't it like if they, what is it for the licensing committee? Because for us, you know, we were kind of playing the hard line of you have to have a lease signed. But what is it for you?
But I don't see the question.
Before someone gets like a liquor license, I would assume they would have to have a place of business, right? Signed and done. Same thing. Yeah, signed and done lease.
Are we looking at terms? In terms of years?
No, just a lease. I mean, it's
That's
a month to
state.
month. I don't think you're doing that. Yeah, that's a state thing.
Just keep in mind that card licensees, they're not the ones directly involved in lease agreements. It's I think it's the New York State.
That's
Virtually, yes, they're directly, dealing with lease agreements. And then obviously the applicants that are not part of the card are gonna be doing lease agreements.
You coming to my meeting, Joel?
Yeah, come in.
All right.
I'll be there.
Monday the 6th, Monday the 6th.
Awesome, my man. Good.
Are there like any renewal, that will take place?
Eventually, when a license has to be renewed, they'll come back in front of us. So yeah,
Is it 3 year or 4 years?
2 year. All right, thanks, guys.
So
Ah,
it'll be like a 101 at that meeting. All right, so the big announcement, so we do have announcements, 1 second, folks. There's no old or new per se. Make sure again, your rankings are in by tomorrow morning. Before Ebenezer and I came here, I think it was like 8 submissions and we're 50. So let's start ranking, folks. Tanisha had announcements and then comment on rankings. Okay, I gotta. Okay, NAMCOM is gonna be calling. So Tanisha, if you're still here, if you could share your announcements and then Luana will share announcements, then we can probably wrap up. Okay, and then Debbie.
Thank you, Chair. So I just wanted to share an announcement about some work that Parents Supporting Parents New York and Moms United for Black Lives is doing. There will be a virtual meeting this Friday on the campaign for fiscal equity. I don't know if anybody knows what that is, but that is billions of dollars that advocates like Robert Jackson, before he was senator, won billions of dollars that were won for foundation aid for our children. We finally won. Parents like me and other advocates for years and years, like 30 years, fought for this money for our public schools, for our students. And we finally won in 2020. So we are now doing a victory tour virtually to talk about what the campaign for fiscal equity is. What does it mean that we won these billions of dollars? And what do we need to do next? It's very important if you care about public schools, if you understand how important they are in our communities. We invite everyone to join that meeting on Friday, this Friday, at 6:30 p.m. Also, on November 4th, we will also be having our back to school laptop giveaway. Parents Supporting Parents New York will be having their back to school giveaway. And it will also be the 3rd anniversary of this grassroots organization giving laptops to students and community members. So that is real big. We are asking the community to come out and celebrate and watch our newest recipients receive laptops. There will be food, there will be drinks, there will be activities, and there also will be giveaways for the children. Those flyers will be sent to the community board, and hopefully we'll see you there. Thank you.
Thanks, Tanisha. Luana. Oh, yeah, that's one. Oh, hold on. Come up, repeat it, sorry.
Do they have to be a certain age to qualify for the free laptop? Like, what are the criteria?
Is there an age, Tanisha, for the laptops or like a criteria?
No, there is not an age at this time. At first, it was just students, but we are blessed to have been able to extend our laptop giveaway to community members as well. I will put my information in the chat. It is a process. Anyone who wants to apply, there is interview, an over the phone interview. We want to get to know you, know about you. And if you meet our standards, then your child or a community member might receive a laptop and a printer. These laptops are very high quality, are touchscreen, are very good HP computers, and we also do give printers. So I will put my email in the chat. I will put our website in the chat, and we can talk offline if anyone is interested in our program and what we do. Thank you.
Thanks. Liz, is that a question or an announcement?
It's a question. Who's the chair of the nominating committee?
Leo. Leo Vasquez.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, what? Wow. I'm sorry, folks. Oh, I guess, wow.
So 3 quick announcements. The Dykeman Farmhouse is having their annual Jack-o'-lantern Jubilee tomorrow.
Jack-o'-lantern Jubilee at Dykeman Farmhouse.
Yes, it starts at 5:30, and then the day after it will be Dykeman After Dark. And I'm a big Halloween fan, so Halloween celebration, and also finally, after having hopefully good weather on Saturday, if there better be good weather. The Ring Garden, right, and by Dykeman and in Riverside.
So we're riding like many of the Saturday.
Their flea market, finally.
That's a flea market, and she'll be a vendor. And that's also a great cue for if you can't go to the farmhouse stuff, we're doing our uptown tours at the farmhouse on Friday at 6 o'clock. So join the crew who's never been or received it. Somebody else had an announcement, Debbie.
The cannabis task force and the presentation will be both meeting on the same night, and who's one human being, so just please do, like, let's just all keep in mind, I don't know how he's gonna do it. Look at him, he's so calm, he just said.
So for folks on Zoom, again reiterating, she is asking us, right, to reflect on the fact that our district manager will be by himself after Friday, for a little over a month. With all the meetings, all the tasks.
All together and support each other. And if we have the paper ranking on us, if you mind John Walters now, we have to hear, right, just give it them.
Yeah, so if you have a paper ranking, give it to Ebenezer. So that means for folks, you know, if you're chairs on committees, please submit your agendas and minutes on time. We'll be scheduling as we can. Some responses might be a little bit slower. And then of course, being able just to necessarily do our part on that. And then the CB12 email where Ebenezer and myself are gonna be monitoring that. So if there are some stuff, some of us are gonna be helping in, but for sure, just being aware. Thank you for that.
Board members can volunteer.
Yes, and board members can volunteer if you're able to pitch in and support with, you know, meeting setup, making sure people sign in and stuff like that. Or if committee members can make sure, you know, maybe you can arrive a little early, double check your stuff. That's appreciated as well. So, all right, any other announcements? I heard a motion. Motion by Theodore, seconded by Noble.
I second.
Patience.
Seconding from Spain.
Let me get it by now. Go to sleep, Liz Ritter.
You bet. It's 3 a.m.
Did I
Good night.
say the deck, right?
Which one?